The most exhausting person in your life isn't your demanding boss or your critical relatives. It's the inner bully who constantly whispers, "If only you had." I know, it sounds dramatic, but think about it. How many times have you been trapped in a mental replay of a past mistake? A missed opportunity, a clumsy word, a decision you wish you could take back. This constant loop of what ifs and should haves is a form of self-bullying, and it's draining your energy, your confidence, and your happiness. But why do we do this to ourselves? Let's explore the psychology behind this destructive habit and, more importantly, how to break free. First, let's understand the anatomy of regret. From a psychological standpoint, that if only feeling is known as counterfactual thinking. It's our brain's tendency to create alternative realities for events that have already happened. This isn't always a bad thing. Thinking about how a situation could have been worse, what psychologists call downward counterfactuals, can make us feel grateful for the actual outcome. For instance, after a minor car accident, you might think, at least no one was seriously hurt. This can bring a sense of relief. But the real trouble starts with upward counterfactuals, when we obsess over how things could have been better. If only I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. If only I had been more confident, I would have gotten the promotion. This type of thinking often leads to feelings of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. Imagine you're at a party and you say something you instantly regret. For days, you replay the conversation, cringing at your choice of words. You think, if only I had just kept my mouth shut. This is a classic example of upward counterfactual thinking. It doesn't change the past, but it certainly ruins your present. This mental habit of overthinking the past is also known as rumination. This kind of self-bullying isn't just a bad habit. It has real psychological consequences. It can erode your self-esteem and is linked to feelings of anxiety and depression. You are not just reflecting on a mistake, you are reliving the failure over and over again. Second, this self-bullying is often a misguided attempt at self-improvement. We often believe that by constantly berating ourselves for past mistakes, we're motivating ourselves to do better in the future. We think that harsh self-criticism is the key to avoiding similar errors down the line. Think about the aspiring entrepreneur whose first business failed. They might tell themselves, "I was so naive. If only I had been more ruthless, more focused." They believe this internal scolding will make them a tougher business person. But more often than not, this approach backfires. Instead of fostering growth, it creates a fear of failure that can be paralyzing. The fear of making another wrong decision can prevent you from taking any risks at all. This is where the concept of a growth mindset, a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck, becomes crucial. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. People with a growth mindset see failures not as a final verdict on their capabilities, but as learning opportunities. Instead of saying, "If only I hadn't failed," someone with a growth mindset would ask, "What can I learn from this experience?" They understand that failure is not a life sentence, but a lesson on the path to success. It's about shifting the narrative from self-blame to self-improvement. Third, we bully ourselves because we confuse self-criticism with accountability. Taking responsibility for our actions is a sign of maturity. But there's a huge difference between acknowledging a mistake and endlessly punishing yourself for it. Accountability is about saying, "I made a mistake, and here's what I'll do to make it right, or to learn from it." Self-bullying, on the other hand, is getting stuck in the emotional mud of guilt and shame. Let's say you forgot a close friend's birthday. Accountability would be calling them, sincerely apologizing, and making a plan to celebrate with them. Self-bullying would be spending the next week telling yourself what a terrible, selfish friend you are. One approach leads to resolution and connection. The other leads to a cycle of negativity. Psychologically, this is related to the concepts of behavioral self-blame versus characterological self-blame. Behavioral self-blame focuses on your actions. I made a poor choice by not writing down my friend's birthday. This can be constructive because it points to a specific behavior that can be changed. Characterological self-blame attacks your core identity. I'm a bad person because I forgot my friend's birthday. This is destructive and keeps you trapped. True accountability is about your actions, not your identity. I have action the common. I have many fright the round. So, how do we stop this inner bully? The first step is cognitive reframing. This is a technique where you consciously change your perspective on a situation. When you catch yourself saying, "If only I had," challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? Instead of viewing a past event as a mistake, reframe it as a learning experience. Let's go back to the party example. Instead of, "If only I had kept my mouth shut," you could reframe it as, "That comment didn't land as I intended." It's a good reminder to think before I speak, especially in social situations. This reframe shifts the focus from regret to a constructive takeaway. The second and perhaps most powerful tool is self-compassion. Research shows that self-compassion can lead to personal improvement after a regretful experience. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. When a friend makes a mistake, you don't repeatedly tell them how much they've failed. You offer support and encouragement. Why not do the same for yourself? Self-compassion has 3 core components, as defined by researcher Dr. Kristen Neff. 1. Self-kindness versus self-judgment. Be gentle and understanding with yourself, rather than harsh and critical. 2. A sense of common humanity versus isolation. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and experiences difficulties. You are not alone in your imperfections. 3. Mindfulness versus over-identification. Observe your negative thoughts and emotions without getting lost in them. Practicing self-compassion could be as simple as pausing when the inner bully starts its monologue and saying to yourself, "This is a moment of suffering. It's okay. I'm only human." Research suggests that taking a self-compassionate perspective can increase your desire to forgive yourself, accept the situation, and improve in the future. The goal isn't to erase the past, but to change your relationship with it. In conclusion, the voice that says, "If only I had," is not your guide to a better future. It's an anchor to a past you cannot change. It's the voice of an inner bully that thrives on your regret. By understanding the psychology of counterfactual thinking, embracing a growth mindset, practicing true accountability, and cultivating self-compassion, you can silence that voice. You can learn to look back on your life not with a cringe, but with a knowing nod, recognizing that every mistake was simply a stepping stone on your journey of becoming. The past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Let it inform you, but don't let it define you. Do you struggle with an inner bully? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, please subscribe for more insights into the psychology of a better life.